Jordan Peterson explodes in response to his court case to re-educate him. So, yeah, basically he lost this court case. Just to set this up, he lost this court case that said he needs to go into this re-education thing to teach him how to tweet better. Otherwise, he'll lose his license to be a therapist, psychologist, therapist. It's all the same, right? Yeah. So then he went to appeal it, and they threw out his appeal. They won't let him do it. Here's a clip.
Jordan B. Peterson has finally now responded, and with quite some fury, I might add.
Yeah,
to the
rightfully so.
Denial of his appeal to be re-educated by the Canadian government to teach him how to tweet and not offend people.
Yeah, the government
he wants to keep his license.
Should be telling people this stuff, right?
However,
insane.
It's more of an ideological fight for him, I believe, because he doesn't really practice anymore. He doesn't really teach at that school anymore. He's a super huge megastar. When I saw him yesterday,
there's millions
at
of subs
the
on
RNC
YouTube
debates, it was like he was a rock star. There was a massive group of people around him trying to get selfies, trying to get autographs, trying to get pictures.
The government,
maybe 100.
It backfired on the government. They made him such a big star because they were doing this type of stuff. So
people, the second people noticed him, people were running across the entire Fiserv Forum to try and get a picture with him. The guy is a super huge megastar, loved by young and old. And by the way, most of the people that were running over there were young kids, maybe in their 20s or something like that, early 20s. But yesterday, there was a terrible loss for free speech, as he is now being, again, forced to be re-educated.
Yeah,
now, Jordan Peterson
license.
unloads on Canadian court after backs psychologist organization's attempt to censor him. A Canadian court has upheld the sanctioning of Dr. Jordan Peterson by a psychologist governing body that targeted Peterson for criticizing trans ideology, climate alarmism, and the Canadian government. The College of
Can't do that in Canada.
of Ontario, which has embraced radical gender theory in recent years, has threatened to.
I had some friends that joked like, "Oh, if Biden gets elected again, I'm moving to Canada." I'm like, Canada? Do you know what Canada's like? They're like, oh, no, not really. It's like, oh, well, let me tell you. Like, you don't want to move to Canada. That is for damn sure.
To remove Peterson's clinical psychology license over his social media activity if he doesn't go through a so-called specified continuing educational or remedial program. Again,
corrupt.
That's
so corrupt.
Re-education. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, that's what it is. On Wednesday, the Ontario Superior Court of Justice ordered Peterson to pay $25,000 to the College of Psychologists and upheld the order he go through a social media education program. The organization is not punishing Peterson for any interactions with patients. Rather, it's censuring, fining, and attempting to re-educate him for public comments he made, including on social media and during podcast appearances.
$25K.
His literal free speech.
Wow.
Peterson responded by blasting the court and vowing to make every aspect of the case public.
Oh, yeah,
which
go
I think
do it.
Would be, when I went to talk to him, excuse me, that's what I wanted to, reinforce of how important it is. He knows how important it is, but I think that it is a absolute Chad move because they don't want this getting out public. They don't want their weirdo reprogramming stuff to be public because the whole world will see it.
Oh, yeah, he goes
exactly
and does
what
that.
It's all about.
He does the re-education, but then films all of it. Oh, that would be dope. Just go do it, Jordan. Let's go.
Some of Peterson's supposed offenses, by the way, according to the College of Psychologists, include retweeting Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre's, sorry if I mispronounced that, criticism of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Criticizing a leader has led to re-education. Not just
Canada
fencing,
sucks.
But just simply the crime of
no offense to any Canadians up there, but if you live in Canada,
former
it's
senior Trudeau aide,
you know it
and
sucks.
expressing opposition to the idea of the Ottawa police taking custody of children of trucker convoy protesters.
Wow.
Other supposed offenses do not involve direct criticism of the Canadian government, such as Peterson saying on Joe Rogan's podcast that accepting radical gender theory is a sign of civilization collapsing. calling climate change models unreliable, and criticizing Sports Illustrated for putting a overweight swimsuit model on the cover. Sorry,
Gross.
plus sized.
How is that a
All
sports
reasonable
person?
takes. If you want to put somebody who's obese on the cover of the swimsuit edition, that's fine. You're just telling me that you're not trying to sell copies of the swimsuit edition. You
Yeah,
want to get press about
Sports
it.
Illustrated.
It's more profitable to get the press than it is
Should
to
be
actually
people that
sell
play
the product,
sports. No,
which is a lot, which would explain a lot of the woke capitalism that we see. In the latest ruling, the court ruled that Peterson's application to block the forced training, claiming that the College of Psychologists had a compelling public interest in regulating Peterson's statements, or otherwise known as free speech. I've concluded that the application should be dismissed. In my view, the decision of the ICRC are reasonably consider Dr. Peterson's statements in the context of the college's statutory mandate to regulate in profession in public interest, wrote Judge Paul Shabbos. Now, on Tuesday, prior to the release of the decision, Peterson wrote on X that he stood by his comments. Well, if we go and we see this video he put out last night, by the way, this is the suit he was wearing last night. So I think he recorded this in his hotel.
yeah, it seems that
Hello,
way.
everyone. I've been awaiting a court decision in Canada with regards to the Ontario College of Psychologists' decision to require me to be re-educated in relationship to my social media use or to lose my license. The court ruled today
Insane.
in favor of the college. They claimed that I have the right to free speech in Canada, but subject to apparently whatever limitations the college wants to
It's not free
place on
speech.
me, and by implication, every other professional in Canada.
And that's why this is such a big deal. First of all, he doesn't have free speech.
No, definitely
They
not.
are allowed to take away his livelihood, take away his job, take away.
They didn't even say anything that
his
crazy.
credentials, because he himself.
Criticized a leader and doesn't agree with transgender stuff. I'm like, that's not like really that crazy. He's not saying it like anything that crazy. Let's just leave it there.
Shared an opinion that they did not like. Now, a lot of people out there like to use the freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequences. And I understand that that can be a thing. For example, if you work for, I don't know, Walmart or something, and you have it in your Twitter bio, and you're using your Twitter bio to release secrets or damaging information about Walmart, for example, they're likely to fire you.
That's not a good idea. They're gonna fire you.
They
and
might
sue you.
even sue you.
Yeah.
And the way our American legal system works, they might even win. But
Which they probably
ultimately,
should. Yeah.
that's some statements that you're making more directly tied to a business that maybe they could directly tie to some sort of negative backlash. Alyssa Heinerschneid at Bud Light calling, their advertisement and by extension their existing customer base at the time fratty and out of touch would be an example of somebody who was speaking for the company, had the right to say what they wanted to say, and subsequently has been put on leave because she cost the company $30 billion in market cap. Now,
Wow. It's so
I don't
crazy
know,
to think about that perspective.
how
$30
much
billion, one
I
person.
agree with all these decisions, but at least you can kind of track it that way. With Jordan Peterson, they are trying to humiliate him. They are trying to discredit him. His tweets on there is no reasonable amount of people that views Jordan Peterson as a surrogate for the college. He does not have that in his biography. His Twitter bio just says he's a clinical psychologist, education podcast, best-selling author. He doesn't list the school. He doesn't list, the particular oversight committee for psychologists. His comments weren't on psychology even. In some cases, I suppose you could argue they were indirectly. But
I think you could argue.
I think
they
that
were.
to make that connection to where they're saying, well, your free speech, you do have freedom of
But
speech,
who
but your
cares?
speech is
You
harming
can have
your business.
independent opinions.
I don't
still.
believe they've made that connection, and I don't think they can make that connection. This is more almost exclusively about humiliating him and discrediting him.
And by implication, every other citizen of Canada. The full response to that, my full response to that, or my full initial response, to be more accurate, We'll release that tomorrow. So stay tuned, and I hope you find it useful and interesting.
And so, I think that when you look at how this affects, everybody else, I also think he doesn't run his own social media, because you can see, do you think psychologist Jordan Peterson should be forced to undergo social media training? This with lots of replies. That would be a hard no. People on the, on the left have absolutely been celebrating this, have been, viewing this attack on his freedom of speech and things of that nature as a win. It's ridiculous, right? And so I think the fact that he's going to release everything out, he's going to fight it, I think that is a very good thing, and I think that he says, so the Ontario court ruled that they can pursue the prosecution. If you think that you have a right to free speech in Canada, you're delusional. I will make every aspect public, and we will see what happens with the utter transparency. Bring it on. In keeping with the transparency, here's the decision. The courts have captured by woke ideologies. I knew this already, but I didn't fully understand its extent. Elon Musk gets involved. He said, "This is worse than you think, Elon. My tweets criticizing the trans ideology and Justin Trudeau are the punitive reason. The judges are progressives appointed by Justin Trudeau, and all professionals in Canada are so terrified of their professional regulatory bodies that they are terrified into silence. And even those who aren't intimidated in that manner can't afford the extremely expensive and endless fight. Not good." This is why, why his fighting this is so important, because he has the means to, take a lengthy court battle on. He has the money, the professionals, the clout, the reach to do it. And so he, unfortunately, has to be the one that has to do it. John Q. Public doesn't have access to the lawyers and all this kind of stuff. The Epic Times saying, court of rules against, Swipe Right was here. Colin Wright, the Ontario court rulings against psychologists can pursue their prosecution against Jordan Peterson is an absolute joke. They're sending a very clear signal to anyone thinking about speaking their minds. We will destroy your career. It's going to be interesting to see, what their exact method here, their fight back will be, but good for him. Chris Christie is a tough guy. Wait, what? Oh, maybe we should have him evaluate. Just kidding. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish Jordan the best of luck.
He just changes his mind. He likes Chris Christie. No.
Takes it to him.
I agree. This is just crazy talk. This is how it goes. Like he was saying, the judge is like a progressive, and that's what, and he gets appointed by Trudeau. That's what's happening with Joe Biden, with Hunter and everything. Well, he appointed you at the DOJ. If you go against Joe Biden and prosecute Hunter, it's going to ruin your career. It's career suicide, they were told. It's the same type of thing. The government it's just, government is not as good as people think it is. And it's just always this type of thing. They go and I always think that. It's like if you get someone in power and then they appoint everybody that now they're in power, but the other person supersedes their power, so they're scared. Even if they want to do it like morally, they're not going to get the job. They're going to get fired. It's going to ruin their career, and they work really hard for that, and they want to give their family good stuff and everything. So even people that want to be principled, the fight's against them, And then Jordan Peterson, just the stuff he said again, it wasn't like violent or anything. It was just general opinions. Like, who cares? Go climate alarmism. Oh no, you need to get re-educated. It's bad. The stuff you say on Joe Rogan, you're not allowed to say that. It's like I can't have an opinion as a psychologist. Isn't this type of stuff supposed to be opinion based? No. People ruin people's careers all the time. I was just watching this guy on on PBD recently. Pat Bit David, I think his name is. I always get the middle part wrong. Pat Bit David, but he was on there talking about this thing. I forget the name. Is a really interesting name, but it's like interstellar. It's like this flat object that's spinning. And in 2017, he wanted to know what it was. and then it was fine, and then people got the wrong idea, and then they just started ousting him. And he was confused. Like, wait, isn't the scientific community supposed to want to be open to these ideas? And no. It's a mainstream. They want to get funding. It all comes back to money every single time, doesn't it? So this is about what these guys are thinking. This this psychologist board also, they're like, no, it's gonna get, we're gonna get fired, and we're not gonna get money. No, you can't be saying this stuff, and now you're really famous, and you're going on Joe Rogan. Can you just stop? He's like, no, I'm not gonna stop. And then they're like, okay, fine, we're taking your license. You either go to this thing, we re-educate you, or you're gonna lose your license. And that's how it goes. It's insane.